Admiral Timothy Robinson knew the war was over as soon as mankind's ancient flagship Endeavour dropped out of hyperspace at the besieged colony of New Eden. Armed with weaponry that could reduce the Brunel invasion fleet to molten slag in mere hours, the ancient warship was humanity's last hope. "Status report," barked Robinson, his grizzled face grim as red alert klaxons howled across the Endeavour's bridge. "Sir, New Eden's defenses are crumbling under the Brunel assault," the ops officer reported, hands flying over her console. "Their garrison is outnumbered 10-1. Civilian casualties are mounting. They can't hold out much longer." Robinson slammed a fist on his armrest, the metal creaking under the impact. Damn the Brunel. The ruthless invaders had launched a surprise attack on the colony, hoping to punch through and open up human space for conquest. Now thousands of innocent lives hung in the balance. He had no choice. The Endeavour had to join the fight, even against such overwhelming odds. This was no ordinary warship. An ancient vessel from humanity's past, recently discovered and retrofitted with incredibly advanced tech, the Brunel had never seen anything like it. She packed one hell of a punch. "Helmsman, set course for New Eden. Maximum burn," Robinson commanded. The crew hastened to obey as the mighty ship leaped forward, engines roaring. Stars blurred past the viewports as they raced to the rescue. 5 long years of bloody war, Robinson reflected grimly. Ever since the Brunel's unprovoked assault on human territory, billions had died on both sides with no end in sight. Their motives remained unclear, but one thing was certain. Their unrelenting ferocity and aggression posed the gravest threat mankind had ever faced among the stars. Now, this bold offensive threatened to bring humanity to its knees. The future of their entire species hung in the balance. Everything rode on this battle. Long-range scans filled the view screens as they approached the colony. A massive Brunel attack force of hundreds of ships. Troop transports, dreadnoughts, planet killers, surrounded New Eden. The colony was outmatched and out of time. Robinson drew a deep breath, knowing the coming fight would likely decide the fate of the war itself. The survival of millions rested on their shoulders, but with the Endeavour's unparalleled power at his fingertips, they still had a chance to turn the tide. Battle stations. Admiral Robinson's voice rang out, cold as steel, as the Endeavour roared into weapons range. Her crew stood ready, faces etched with grim determination. It was time to show the Brunel what humans were made of. The battle begins. As the Endeavour hurtled into weapons range, Admiral Robinson wasted no time. "Target the Brunel command ships and support vessels," he barked to the gunnery crews. "Take out their coordination and their supply lines." A chorus of "Aye, sir" rang out as the crew hastened to obey. The Endeavour's advanced weapon systems hummed to life, energy crackling along her hull as she prepared to unleash hell. Beams of searing light lanced out from the Endeavour, slicing through the void with deadly precision. The Brunel ship's shields flared and buckled under the onslaught, their hulls boiling away under the intense heat. Explosions blossomed among the enemy ranks as the human ship's weapons found their marks, sowing chaos and destruction. On the bridge of his flagship, the Brunel commander, Zephyr, reeled in shock as the Endeavour's sudden appearance and devastating opening salvo threw his fleet into disarray. Consoles sparked and alarms blared as the advanced human weapons proved their deadly effectiveness. "All ships, concentrate fire on that vessel," Zephyr roared to his crew, jabbing a clawed finger at the Endeavour's holographic icon. "I want it destroyed now." The Brunel ships wheeled about, bringing their own weapons to bear on the human interloper. Lances of energy and missile contrails streaked across the void, converging on the Endeavour in a storm of fire. But to Zephyr's dismay, the human ship's shields held firm, swatting aside the Brunel attacks like gnats. The Endeavour surged forward, her own weapons answering the enemy's futile barrage with devastating effect. Seizing the momentum, Admiral Robinson pressed the attack. "Engage at close quarters," he ordered, eyes hard as flint. "Let's show them what we're made of." The Endeavor and her battle group plunged into the heart of the enemy formation, weapons blazing. The human ships fought with reckless courage, their spirits soaring at the sight of their legendary flagship leading the charge. All around the Endeavor, Brunel ships crumpled and burned under the humans' relentless assault. The enemy returned fire with desperate ferocity, scorching the Endeavor's shields, but the ancient vessel held firm, her superior technology proving its worth. As the battle raged, the Endeavor's sensors pierced the chaos, detecting a crucial weakness in the enemy's formation. A cluster of troop transports carrying the bulk of the Brunel's ground invasion force. "Admiral, the transports," the sensor officer called out, highlighting the ships on the tactical display. "If we take them out, we can halt their planet-side offensive." Robinson's eyes narrowed as he saw the opportunity. "Helm, set course for those transports," he ordered, voice cold as the void. "We're going to cut the head off this snake." Striking the heart, the Endeavor surged forward, her battle group falling into formation around her. They carved a path through the enemy lines, shields flaring as they weathered the Brunel's desperate fire. The human ships formed a protective cordon around the Endeavor as she closed in on the transports, their own weapons keeping the enemy at bay. The Brunel fought like cornered beasts, but they were no match for the Endeavor's advanced technology and the skill of her crew. In a daring maneuver, Robinson brought the Endeavor directly into the midst of the transports, her shields flaring as she rammed through the massive ships like a battering ram. Point-blank weapons fire erupted from the human vessel, tearing the transports apart in blooms of fire and debris. Zephyr howled in rage as he watched a significant portion of his ground forces vanish in the blink of an eye, the Endeavor's audacious attack throwing his carefully laid plans into disarray. "Regroup and focus all fire on that ship," he snarled to his fleet, claws gouging furrows in his command chair. "I want it dead, regardless of the cost." As the battered Brunel ships regrouped and surged towards the Endeavor, Robinson knew the fight was not nearly finished. The Endeavor was powerful, but she was vastly outnumbered, and the Brunel's desperation made them even more dangerous. The Admiral's fists tightened as he watched the enemy fleet converging on his position. He would have to use every trick in the book to hold them off long enough for reinforcements to arrive. "Steady as she goes," Robinson called out to his crew, voice unwavering. "We hold the line, no matter what. New Eden is counting on us." The Endeavor and her battle group braced for the next wave, weapons charged and shields thrumming with power. The fate of the colony hung in the balance, and the Endeavor's crew knew that their actions in the coming hours would shape the course of the war itself. As the Brunel bore down on them, teeth bared and weapons blazing, the humans met them head-on, determined to stand firm against the tide. The battle for New Eden had only just begun. The Endeavor's resolve. Admiral Robinson's eyes narrowed as he watched the Brunel forces regroup, their ships forming a massive wall of steel and energy shields bearing down on the Endeavor. He knew they had to act fast or be overwhelmed. "Weapons, I want everything we've got on those lead ships now." The Endeavor's weapons officers sprang into action, fingers flying over control panels. The ancient warship's hull thrummed with power as its most devastating armaments came online. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, carving through space. Plasma torpedoes streaked from launch tubes, leaving trails of blue fire. Particle cannons spat streams of exotic matter that the Brunel had no defense against. The enemy's front line disintegrated under the furious barrage. Shields flickered and died, armor plating boiled away, and hull breaches vomited atmosphere and crew into the void. On his crippled flagship, Zephyr stared in disbelief as a final energy beam punched through his vessel's weakened defenses. Alarms blared as the main reactor went critical. "Abandon ship," he roared, but it was too late. The Brunel command ship erupted in a spectacular explosion, scattering debris across the battlefield. Robinson wasted no time pressing his advantage. "Battle group, initiate attack pattern Epsilon. Hit-and-run strikes on their flanks. Endeavor will engage their capital ships directly." Human vessels peeled away, harrying the disorganized Brunel formations with lightning raids. Meanwhile, the Endeavor's engines flared as it accelerated, dancing between enemy ships with impossible agility for a vessel its size. Its weapons sang a song of destruction, each salvo precisely targeted at propulsion systems, weapons arrays, and command centers. Dreadnoughts and carriers, the pride of the Brunel fleet, were reduced to drifting hulks one after another. The Endeavor seemed untouchable, its advanced shielding absorbing concentrated fire from multiple hostiles, without so much as flickering. It was as if the ancient vessel was toying with its opponents. Seeing his forces being systematically dismantled, the Brunel admiral, who had assumed command after Zephyr's demise, made a fateful decision. All ships, full attack on the human vessel. Swarm it. We'll crush it through sheer numbers. The remaining Brunel warships turned as one, engines straining as they charged toward the Endeavor in a suicidal wave. But Robinson had anticipated just such a daring plan. A cold smile played across his lips as he gave the order. Drop the Singularity containment field. The Singularity's wrath. Deep in the Endeavor's core, safety systems disengaged and exotic matter barriers fell away, revealing the impossible. A miniature black hole tamed and harnessed as a power source. Target the enemy formation and release gravitational tethers. Space itself seemed to twist and warp around the Endeavor. The oncoming Brunel ships shuddered, their shields crumpling without effort under the intense gravitational forces. Hull plating tore away in strips, entire sections of ships stretching and distorting before being consumed by the voracious Singularity. In a matter of seconds, dozens of vessels simply ceased to exist, drawn inexorably into the swirling vortex of destruction at the Endeavor's heart. The Brunel admiral stared at his tactical displays in mute horror as ship after ship winked out of existence. His fleet, which had seemed unstoppable mere hours ago, now lay in ruins. All units, disengage and retreat immediately, he croaked, his voice hollow with defeat. Fall back to the rendezvous point. The pitiful remnants of the once mighty invasion force turned tail and fled, scattering in all directions as they sought to put as much distance between themselves and the Endeavor as possible. Robinson watched them go, a fierce pride swelling in his chest. They had done it. Against all odds, they had held the line and turned the tide of battle. But he knew the war was far from over. Prepare for pursuit, he ordered, already planning their next move. We can't let them regroup. We need to press our advantage while we have it. Pursuit and victory. The Endeavor and her battle group surged after the retreating Brunel ships, weapons blazing. The humans fought with renewed vigor, spurred on by their recent success. Ship after ship fell before their relentless assault, the Brunel forces crumbling under the onslaught. Keep up the pressure, Robinson urged his crew. We have to break them completely. As the last of the Brunel ships vanished into the void, the Endeavor's crew erupted in cheers. They had done the impossible. They had taken on the might of the Brunel Empire and emerged victorious. But Robinson knew their victory was only the beginning. They had dealt a severe blow to the Brunel forces, but the war was far from over. They would need to capitalize on their success and continue to push back against the invaders if they were to secure lasting peace. Set course for the nearest Brunel stronghold, he ordered. We're not done yet. The Endeavor and her battle group leaped forward, engines roaring as they raced to their next target. They would fight on, for the future of humanity and for the freedom of all sentient beings in the galaxy. A new dawn. As the Endeavor hurtled towards its next objective, Admiral Robinson allowed himself a moment of reflection. They had faced insurmountable odds and emerged victorious, but the true test lay ahead. They would need to maintain their momentum and continue to innovate if they were to ultimately triumph over the Brunel Empire. Admiral, incoming transmission from High Command, the communications officer called out. Patch it through, Robinson replied, steeling himself for the next challenge. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Fleet Admiral Janice Hayes. Congratulations on your victory at New Eden, Admiral Robinson, she began. Your actions have given us a much-needed boost in morale and demonstrated that the Brunel are not invincible. However, we cannot afford to rest on our laurels. We need to press our advantage and take the fight to the enemy. Understood, Admiral, Robinson replied. We're en route to the nearest Brunel stronghold. We'll continue to push forward and keep the pressure on. Good. Reinforcements are on their way to support your efforts. Together, we will drive the Brunel from our space and secure a lasting peace for humanity and our allies. As the transmission ended, Robinson turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. We've got our orders. Let's show the Brunel what humanity is capable of. The Endeavor's engines roared to life, propelling the ancient warship and her battle group into the heart of enemy territory. The crew was united in their resolve, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had proven their mettle and shown the galaxy the strength of the human spirit. Now, they would continue to fight for a future free from oppression, a future where all sentient beings could live in peace and prosperity. The war was far from over, but with the Endeavor leading the charge, there was hope. And as long as there was hope, humanity would never back down.